Hello everyone, we all want change. We all want growth. We want more confidence, more power, more fulfillment, more life. But let's be honest, most people wait. They wait for the right moment, the right situation, the right support. But the truth, the real truth, breakthrough doesn't come when things are easy. Breakthrough happens when you've had enough, when the pain of staying the same becomes greater than the fear of change. That's when everything begins. Pain is not the enemy. It's a messenger. It's the alarm clock that wakes you up to the life you're no longer willing to tolerate. Think about it. How often do you change when things are fine? You don't. You adjust, you settle, you cope. But when you reach the point where fine turns into frustration, where discomfort turns into disgust, that's the moment when something deep inside you finally says, no more. Some people hit rock bottom and use it as a foundation. Others keep digging. The difference is not the pain. Everyone goes through pain. The difference is the decision that comes from it. Some use it to justify staying stuck. Others use it as the spark that ignites a transformation. That spark, that choice, that's the beginning of your breakthrough. Let me ask you something. What are you sick and tired of? Not what frustrates you, not what annoys you. What are you done with? Because until you get emotionally honest about what you're no longer willing to tolerate, you're going to keep repeating patterns, telling stories, and reliving the same cycles year after year. You can't break through what you're still defending. That relationship that drains your energy, that job that sucks the life out of you, that self-doubt that keeps whispering, you're not enough. You've felt it, you've lived it, but have you truly decided to break through it? Because nothing changes until that moment of decision, and decision only comes when the pain is loud enough, sharp enough, real enough, and here's the truth, that pain can be your greatest gift. It's not there to break you. It's there to break the pattern. If you ignore it, it will scream louder. If you numb it, it will grow stronger. But if you face it, truly feel it, it will lead you to power, because the second you use pain as a lever instead of a label, you gain access to a strength you didn't know you had. You've been through things, everyone has. Maybe you were betrayed, maybe you failed, maybe you lost something you thought you couldn't live without. That's real, that's part of your story, but it's not the end of your story. Pain isn't the final chapter unless you stop writing. The problem is, too many people freeze when they feel pain. They get stuck. They make it their identity, and that's what keeps them from growing. But if you're listening to this now, you already know something inside you is ready. Something inside you is done playing small. That whisper that says, there's more in me. That's your soul speaking. That's the part of you that's always known your potential, and it's waking up. Pain woke it up, and now you're at the edge. This is the edge of the old life, and the beginning of a new one. But to step into that new life, you can't drag the old one with you. You can't keep holding on to the comfort of your limitations and expect to experience the freedom of your potential. That's why pain shows up, to shake you, to crack your shell, to expose what's been holding you back, so you can let it go once and for all. Pain has a purpose, to drive you to decision, and decision is what shapes destiny, not luck, not talent, not perfect timing. Decision. When you decide from a place of emotional intensity, that's when real change takes root. And it doesn't start with action. It starts with identity. It starts with saying, I don't live like that anymore. That version of me is gone. I'm done waiting, done settling, done surviving. I'm here to live. Once you step into that space, everything changes. You start raising your standards. You start questioning your old beliefs. You stop accepting things just because they're familiar. And that leads into the next breakthrough. Realizing that your life isn't controlled by your circumstances, but by your decisions. But it all begins with that moment, the moment when pain becomes fuel, when what once broke you becomes the very thing that builds you, when your lowest point becomes your launching pad. So don't run from the pain. Don't silence it, use it, channel it, let it push you into a level of clarity, drive, and commitment that you've never accessed before, because on the other side of that pain is purpose, on the other side is power. And on the other side is the real you, the version of you that's been buried under excuses, the version of you that's ready to rise. You don't need permission. You don't need a guarantee. You just need to decide that enough is enough, and that now is the moment. This is your breakthrough moment. We all know people who have been through the worst life has to offer and still rise. And we all know others who have every advantage, resources, connections, talent, but still stay stuck, living in cycles of frustration. What's the difference? It's not luck. It's not the circumstances. It's the decisions they make in response to those circumstances. Your destiny is not written by what happens to you. It's written by how you respond. Every moment you're making decisions, decisions about who you are, what you believe, what you'll settle for, what you'll fight for. Most people don't even realize they're deciding. They think they're reacting. But the truth is, in every moment, you're choosing the story you live by. When something painful happens, you have a decision. Do you let it define you, or do you use it to drive you? When someone betrays you, do you close your heart, or do you decide to stay open and grow stronger? When life punches you in the gut, do you stay on the ground, or do you rise with more clarity and more hunger than ever before? These decisions shape who you become. They shape your relationships, your finances, your health, your future. They are the fork in the road, and most people miss them because they think the outside world is in control. But you have the power, not the economy, not your past, not your family, not your boss. You. You decide how to interpret your life, and your interpretation determines your direction. Let's get real. Circumstances can be brutal. Life isn't fair. You didn't ask for the pain. You didn't create the setback. But you're still responsible for what you do next. That's the power of decision. That's what separates those who break through from those who stay broken. Some people choose to wait for better conditions. They tell themselves, when I have more time, when I have more money, when things calm down. But that's just another decision, a decision to wait, and waiting never leads to transformation. The people who change their lives are the ones who make powerful decisions in the middle of chaos. They don't wait for the storm to end, they decide to rise in it, and here's the beautiful part. One decision can change everything, one moment of real clarity, one line in the sand, one never again, one I'm done playing small. One decision can rewrite the story of your entire life. But to make that kind of decision, you need to be emotionally honest. You need to drop the lies, the lie that you're stuck, the lie that you're not ready, the lie that someone else is in control. None of that is true. What's true is this: you have the power to shift everything right now by choosing to take ownership. Ownership is the foundation of powerful decision making. When you take full ownership of your energy, your habits, your responses, you stop living like a victim. You start living like a creator, and creators don't wait for permission. They don't blame, they decide, then act. Some people think they need more motivation to change. That's not true. You don't need more motivation. You need a decision backed by commitment. Motivation fades, commitment lasts. Motivation is a feeling, commitment is a standard, and once you raise your standards, your life will rise with them. It's not about hoping you'll feel like changing. It's about deciding that your life matters too much to stay in this pattern another day. That decision starts inside. You don't need to announce it. You don't need anyone to validate it. But once you make it, really make it, everything around you starts to shift. Think about the most powerful people in history: leaders, innovators, survivors, game changers. What did they all have in common? They made decisions that the world told them were impossible. They made decisions that their fears screamed against. But they made them anyway, and followed through. That's the key. Decision is the spark, but action is the fuel. Once you decide, you back it up with relentless, consistent action. Not perfect action, just movement. Progress. Alignment. Each step you take is a vote for the new identity you've chosen. Every time you follow through on that decision, you strengthen it. You prove to yourself that this isn't just another goal. It's a shift in who you are. Because ultimately, all change is identity change. You can't just decide to act differently. You have to decide to be different. You have to step into the version of you that already lives at the next level. And you do that by choosing over and over again to be the person who doesn't quit, who doesn't shrink, who doesn't surrender to fear. The world will challenge you. Your old habits will resist. People around you may not understand. That's okay. The decision is yours, and your destiny is waiting. Every result in your life, good or bad, has come from a series of decisions, and every new result will too. So don't wait for change, don't hope for growth. Decide who you are, decide what you stand for, decide what you'll no longer tolerate, decide what your future looks like, and once that decision is made, live like it's already done, because that's what powerful people do. They don't react, they create. They don't explain, they execute. They don't fear the future, they shape it. And that right now is your power. You can shape your future by the decisions you make today. One decision, one shift, one unstoppable choice. This is your moment. Own it. Every action you take is a reflection of who you believe you are. It's not your goals that shape your behavior. It's your identity. You can set all the goals in the world, but if deep down you see yourself as someone who always falls short, guess what? You'll sabotage, hesitate, delay. Not because you're lazy or broken, but because your behavior will never rise above your belief about who you are. The truth is, we all act consistently with the story we tell ourselves. If you believe you're a fighter, you'll keep swinging no matter how hard life hits. If you believe you're weak, you'll give up before the real test even begins. That identity, those words you use to define yourself, becomes the invisible hand steering every decision, every habit, every reaction. That's why change never lasts when it's just about willpower. Willpower is useful, but it's like a muscle. It gets tired. What lasts is identity. When you shift who you are at the core, behavior follows naturally. You don't have to force it. You don't have to keep pushing uphill. You simply start making different choices because they're in alignment with your new identity. Let's say you want to be more confident. Most people try to act confident before they believe they are. That creates inner resistance. They're trying to perform a role they don't own. But when you change how you see yourself, when you begin to truly believe, I am a confident person, everything shifts. You carry yourself differently. You speak with conviction. You trust your intuition. Not because you're pretending, but because you've become that person at the core. So how do you change identity? It starts with awareness. You must become conscious of the labels you've accepted. Somewhere along the line, maybe someone told you you're not good enough, and you believed them. Maybe you failed once or twice and decided, I'm just not the kind of person who succeeds. Those decisions are dangerous. They're not facts. They're conclusions you drew in a moment of pain, and if you don't challenge them, they become your prison. To shift your identity, you've got to rewrite that story, and that means interrupting the pattern. Every time you hear that old voice, the one that says you're not capable, you always screw things up. This won't work. You stop it in its tracks. You replace it with a stronger truth. I'm learning, I'm growing, I'm becoming unstoppable. But you can't just say it. You have to prove it to yourself. Identity grows through evidence. Every time you take action that aligns with who you want to become, you give yourself proof. You build a case, you stack the wins, you start to believe not because you've tricked yourself, but because you've earned the belief through consistent action. Start small. You don't need to flip your whole life in one day. But you do need to show up daily as the version of yourself you want to become. If you want to be disciplined, get up when the alarm goes off. If you want to be bold, have the conversation you've been avoiding. Each act becomes a brick. Stack enough of them and you've built a new identity. One that's strong, empowering, and unshakable. And here's the secret most people miss. Your identity is not fixed. It's not genetic. It's not permanent. It's malleable. You are not your past. You are the pattern you choose to live by today. You can decide right now to become someone new, not someone fake, not someone you're not, but the version of you that's always been inside, waiting to be unleashed. The biggest breakthroughs happen when you stop trying to achieve and start trying to align. Align with your highest self. Align with your vision. Align with the truth that you are powerful beyond measure, not someday, but now. That alignment becomes your new standard, and your standard determines your results. Remember, life doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you tolerate, and you tolerate whatever your identity says is normal for you. Raise your identity, and your standards rise with it. Suddenly, average isn't acceptable anymore. Procrastination isn't your pattern anymore. Excuses don't fit who you are anymore, because that's not your identity. You want to grow, change how you see yourself, become the kind of person who doesn't shrink from challenge but steps into it, who doesn't run from fear but uses it as fuel, who doesn't need validation because they already know their worth. This transformation doesn't happen once, it happens daily. Every day you decide, who am I becoming? Every action answers that question. You're either reinforcing the old identity or stepping into the new one. There is no neutral, you're always building momentum toward breakthrough or toward breakdown. So today, make the decision to own your identity. Don't just say you want more, be the person who creates more. Don't just talk about confidence, live like someone who deserves to be heard. Don't just hope for growth, be the kind of person who demands it from themselves. Because once you become that person in your mind, the world has no choice but to catch up. You don't chase success anymore, you attract it, not because of what you do, but because of who you are. Pain is not the enemy, it's the signal, it's the call to rise. Most people spend their lives trying to avoid pain, to numb it, suppress it, or distract themselves from it. But pain has a purpose. It shows up to get your attention. It shows up to demand growth. It doesn't come to punish you. It comes to reveal what you're capable of if you stop running and start listening. Think about your life. The times you grew the most, the moments you changed, the breakthroughs you had, weren't they forged in discomfort? Weren't they born out of a moment when you had no choice but to rise or be crushed? That's the paradox. The very thing we try to avoid is the thing that transforms us. When you learn to lean into pain, not as a victim but as a student, you become powerful beyond measure. We've been taught that pain means stop. But in truth, pain is often life saying, you're still alive, you're still in the fight, there's more for you. Most people retreat when it gets hard. They shrink, they make excuses, they lower their standards to match their struggle. But if you want to be great, you can't let pain close you. You've got to let it open you. There's a version of you on the other side of pain that is stronger, wiser, more grounded. But you don't get there by skipping the process. You get there by going through it, by allowing the fire to burn away what no longer serves you, the fear, the doubt, the old story that says, I can't. Because when you strip it all back, when you're face to face with your raw, unfiltered truth, that's when the real transformation begins. You can't fake this part. Growth isn't comfortable and it isn't supposed to be. There will be moments when you want to give up, when you question everything, when it feels like life is pushing you to your limit. But that limit is not the end, it's the edge, and the edge is where breakthroughs are born. That's where you meet the part of you that doesn't quit, the part that was asleep, waiting for the challenge to wake it up. You see, pain introduces you to your power. It strips away the illusions. It shows you what really matters. And if you're willing to sit with it, to listen instead of resist, it becomes the catalyst for something extraordinary. Not just survival, but rebirth. Not just healing, but becoming whole. But here's the truth. Most people never let pain finish its work. They check out too soon. They numb themselves with distractions, blame others, or get addicted to the story of their suffering. They wear it like a badge, repeating it over and over until it becomes their identity. That's not power. That's bondage. Power comes when you decide that your pain will serve a greater purpose. When you say, this didn't happen to break me. It happened to build me. You turn your wounds into wisdom. You use your story to help others rise. You become the example, not the excuse. And once you've been through pain and come out the other side, not bitter but better, you become unshakable, not because life gets easier, but because you get stronger. You develop a resilience that isn't taught in books. It's earned, it's felt, it's lived. You stop fearing the hard times because you've learned that even your darkest moment can carry the seeds of your greatest breakthrough. That kind of belief changes how you show up. It changes what you tolerate. It changes the energy you carry, because now you know that no matter what happens, you have the capacity to rise. That's the shift. From pain being something that breaks you to something that remakes you. It's a choice. You either let pain become the wall that holds you back or the fuel that propels you forward. So what are you going to do with your pain? You can run from it, or you can rise with it. You can stay stuck in your story, or you can write a new one. You can keep blaming, or you can start building. This is your moment to decide, because here's the truth. Pain is not the end of your journey, it's the doorway. Step through it, and you'll find the version of yourself you've been searching for, the one who knows their worth, who leads with courage, who doesn't just survive, but thrives. Focus is power. Whatever you consistently focus on, you move toward. Whatever you give your energy to expands, yet most people walk through life distracted, pulled in 100 directions, constantly reacting instead of intentionally choosing where their attention goes. And the truth is, if you don't control your focus, something else will. Your fears, your past, your environment, or someone else's agenda. We live in a noisy world, a world screaming for your attention every second of the day. Notifications, opinions, doubts, distractions. It's easy to lose sight of what matters, but here's the catch. Your destiny is shaped by what you choose to focus on, moment to moment. If you keep focusing on what's missing, what's broken, what you're afraid of, you reinforce it. But if you shift your focus toward possibility, toward gratitude, toward what you can control, you start building a different future. There's no such thing as a lack of time, only a lack of clarity and intention. Everyone gets the same 24 hours, but it's what you focus on in those 24 hours that separates the extraordinary from the average. High achievers aren't superhuman. They've simply trained themselves to lock in on what moves the needle and tune out the noise that doesn't. You have to understand, your focus is your superpower. Wherever your focus goes, your emotions follow, your decisions follow, your habits follow. You want to change your life. Change what you focus on every single day. Stop focusing on what you can't do, what you don't have, or what others think. Start focusing on your vision, on the small steps you can take today, on the progress you're making, not just the gaps. And it's not about pretending challenges don't exist. It's about choosing not to let them dominate your mental space. It's about directing your mental spotlight towards solutions, not just problems. You can train yourself to focus on what empowers you. You can condition your mind to lock in on what elevates your energy and momentum. Discipline and focus creates freedom in life. When you say yes to what matters most, you automatically say no to everything else that doesn't serve your purpose. That's not limitation, that's liberation. Most people are exhausted not because they're doing too much, but because they're doing too much of what doesn't align with who they really are. Focus isn't just about productivity, it's about identity. What you focus on shapes how you see yourself. You keep focusing on failure and you'll see yourself as a failure. You keep focusing on growth and you start to become someone who grows. Your identity is reinforced through repeated focus, through what you feed your mind every day. If you want to build an unstoppable mindset, you must become ruthless about where your attention goes. That means guarding your environment. That means managing your inputs. That means choosing what conversations you engage in, what content you consume, and what beliefs you entertain. Because the quality of your focus determines the quality of your emotions, and your emotions drive your actions. Most people think they need more motivation. What they really need is more clarity. When your vision is clear and your focus is locked in, motivation becomes automatic. You don't have to hype yourself up. You just move, you execute, you show up again and again because you know what you're after and you're not letting anything pull you off course. Focus gives you leverage. It's what allows you to turn small daily actions into massive long-term results. It's what helps you say, not now, to things that might feel good in the moment but steal your future. It's the difference between being busy and being effective, between movement and progress. When challenges hit, and they will, it's your focus that determines whether you spiral or rise. Do you focus on the obstacle or the opportunity, on what's lost or on what's left, on the setback or the comeback? That moment of decision will shape everything. That's the fork in the road where power is born. But focus doesn't just happen. It's a practice, a muscle, and like any muscle, it grows with use. You train it through rituals, routines, and repetition. Through starting your day with intention, through ending your day with reflection, through asking yourself, what's one thing I can focus on today that will move me forward? You'll never eliminate distractions entirely, but you can train yourself to recover faster. To recognize when your focus has drifted and gently bring it back. That single habit, the ability to refocus, will change everything. Because while most people spend days or weeks caught in cycles of distraction or fear, you'll be the one who snaps back, who re-engages, who takes back control. And that's what separates those who achieve from those who wish. It's not talent, it's not luck. It's the relentless, disciplined focus on what matters. Over time, that focus becomes your fuel. It becomes your filter. It becomes the foundation of the life you're building. One choice, one thought, one action at a time. So stop chasing everything. Start focusing on the one thing that matters most in this season. Give it your energy. Give it your time. Give it your commitment. Because the moment you focus fully, without hesitation, without distraction, that's the moment you become unstoppable. The vision is where it starts, but it cannot end there. You can have the clearest, most compelling picture in your mind of who you want to become, of the life you want to build. But unless that vision turns into consistent action, it stays a dream. Dreams without action are just hallucinations. What separates people who transform their lives from those who stay stuck is simple. They take that powerful vision and translate it into daily, repeatable behaviors. You don't need to overhaul your life in a day. You don't need to wait until it's perfect. You don't need to wait for motivation to strike like lightning. You need to act consistently, deliberately, and immediately, because action creates clarity. Action creates feedback, and most importantly, action creates momentum. That first step may be small, but it's the most important one because it breaks inertia. And once you're in motion, it's easier to keep going than to keep waiting. The problem for most people is they get overwhelmed by the size of the vision. They look at where they are and compare it to where they want to be, and the gap looks like a canyon. That comparison paralyzes them. But if you understand how real growth works, you know that big changes come from small shifts done consistently. You don't climb the mountain by staring at the peak. You climb it one step at a time. And every day that you show up, every day that you execute, you close that gap between the dream and the reality. You have to reverse engineer your vision into behaviors. What are the rituals, the disciplines, the habits that the future version of you would live by? Start living them now. You want to be confident. Start keeping the promises you make to yourself today. You want to be financially free. Start mastering your spending and increasing your skills today. You want to be fit and full of energy. Don't wait for Monday, go for the walk. Drink the water, push your body today. It doesn't need to be dramatic. It just needs to be done. When your vision becomes your standard, your actions naturally rise to meet it. But that only happens when you create structure around your goals. You need a game plan. You need rituals that anchor your day. Start the morning with power, get centered, prime your mind, set your intentions. And then go execute. Don't start the day by reacting to the world. Start by creating the state that will carry you through it. And here's the truth most people ignore. You're not going to feel like doing it every day. That's why discipline beats motivation. Motivation is fleeting. It comes and goes. Discipline is built. You train it. And when you align that discipline with a powerful vision, that's when life starts to shift. That's when the inner conflicts quiet down, because your actions and your desires are finally in sync. Every result you're getting in your life right now is a reflection of your habits, not your intentions, not your hopes, your habits. So ask yourself, what are the actions I take every single day without even thinking? Are they aligned with my vision, or are they pulling me further away? You can't escape the math of your habits. What you do repeatedly, you become. And if you want to accelerate your growth, track your actions, write them down, hold yourself accountable. Most people don't track because they don't want to face the truth. But the truth is your leverage. When you see what's working and what's not, you can adjust, you can improve, you can grow. But if you avoid it, you stay stuck. Clarity comes from measurement. Progress comes from ownership. Remember, you don't need to do everything. You need to do the right things consistently. 1 or 2 key habits executed daily with intensity will outperform a dozen scattered goals done inconsistently. Focus on the high, average moves, the things that shift your mindset, build your identity, and create momentum. That's where your energy should go, and don't confuse motion with progress. Just being busy is not the same as being productive. Make sure your actions are aligned with your outcomes. Don't just check boxes, move the needle. Ask yourself every day, did I take action that aligned with who I'm becoming? If the answer is yes, you're winning. If the answer is no, don't judge it. Adjust, recommit, and show up stronger tomorrow. You're one decision away from a completely different life, and that decision is not some huge dramatic shift. It's choosing today to live in alignment with your vision, to act even when you don't feel like it, to push forward even when you're tired. That's how you build self-respect. That's how you build belief. That's how you build a life you're proud of. In the end, your breakthrough won't come from just thinking differently. It will come from doing differently. It will come from stacking small wins day after day until suddenly the person you used to be is unrecognizable. That's the power of turning vision into action. It changes you from the inside out. And when that change becomes permanent, your entire life changes with it.